I'd like to thank everybody for joining us today for the Hexagon Connected Worker webinar, Our Paper Manual Processes Slowing You Down. My name is Mike Duran. I'm an account executive here at Connected Worker. I'm going to be joined today by Syed Mehdi, who is an account executive with over 20 years of sales and engineering background, as well as Tim Eliason, who is our senior application consultant with over 35 years of application and implementation background, as well as Maggie Powell, who will be handling our slideshow today. If you want to go to the next slide, Maggie. So today's agenda, we'll start off with just a quick overview of Hexagon, the organization, for those of you who may not be familiar with us, and then we'll discuss Connected Worker hardware and software. We'll talk a little bit about integration into disparate systems, as well as doing some demos and how we solve solutions, and then we'll go to a question and answer session. And with that, I'll start off by introducing Hexagon for those of you who may not be familiar with us. Hexagon is a global organization. We currently do business in 50 countries. We are headquartered in Stockholm, Sweden. We have over 24,000 employees, and we do roughly about $5.5 billion a year in annual sales. We are broken into 5 distinct business divisions. Those divisions are Asset Lifecycle Intelligence, and they're responsible for asset management, digital transformation. We also have Autonomous Solutions. They develop autonomous solutions, solution systems for aerospace, mining, construction. One of our other divisions is called Geosystems, and they provide geospatial tooling for survey and mapping. We have our Safety, Infrastructure, and Geospatial, which develops solutions for public safety, infrastructure, and geospatial data management. And then last but not least is Manufacturing Intelligence, which is where we're based, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. We are responsible for precision measurement, as well as accuracy and digital workflows. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Syed Mehdi to talk a little bit more about Connected Worker.
Thanks so much, Mike. Can you guys hear me fine?
Yes.
Yeah. So thanks so much for the intro, Mike. Yeah. So we, as Mike mentioned, we belong to the Manufacturing Intelligence Division. And what we want to discuss today, what we want to talk about is Nexus Connected Worker. What we do, what I'll do is I'll give a brief introduction about Nexus, kind of provide you guys with an overview, a 30,000 feet level view of what the solution does, what our heavy hitters are. And with that, once that's done, it's going to take about 5 minutes. Once we're done with that, we're going to move on and talk about real world problems that all of us are facing currently and how Nexus can come in and resolve those issues for you. So at Nexus, we help streamline operations and improve efficiency through our mobile app solutions. We're supported on all platforms, iOS, Android, Windows, all platforms are supported. We understand many of our customers, they face challenges with manual paperwork, missing information, handwritten checklists. So that's where we come in. We eliminate paperwork and manual data entry, improve communications between teams, provide real-time data for maintenance, issue identification, and resolution. And when it comes to maintenance-specific issues, we execute work orders, perform inspections, capture time, work performed, link to instructions, and schematics. So essentially what we do is we provide digital solutions that connect into the systems you have in place and are really modeled around your ideal business processes. So challenges that we try to solve within manufacturing is first making sure you have high-level enterprise integration into both your IT systems as well as your manufacturing machines. That being said, Nexus Connected Worker can be a standalone solution too. We have a hardware portion of our business where we actually come in, we can put relays on older machines. If you're more of a discrete manufacturer, we can come in, sensor your lines, install torque controllers, and task lights, RFIDs, all that kind of good stuff. So any area of your business, maybe where you are lacking in data and installing some hardware could actually help you provide or increase the amount of data you can actually use. Nexus Connected Worker helps with that. So creating digital workflows that help you get out of manual data entry is what we're going to focus on today. So whether you're writing something down on a piece of paper or you're capturing it on an Excel sheet, maybe writing stuff down on a paper and then typing it into a system later, we help you build mobile workflows, speak to your systems that speak to each other, and really guide a new user through the process. So Maggie, I think we can move on to the next slide. So basically what I want to focus on is the 4 heavy hitters that we have within Nexus Connected Worker. Operations, start off with operations. So inside of operations, we do a lot of real-time downtime tagging, real-time monitoring of your machines and your production. We do daily reporting. Again, we can do machine connectivity as well, as I mentioned. So if you have machines, you have PLCs already, we have an integration system. We can come in, grab data of those PLCs, or if they're older machines, we can come put relays on and actually put some sensors on the line. So you're starting to collect runtime and your actual production numbers. If, as I said, if you're more in a discrete manufacturing environment, we provide a lot of paperless traveler. So if you think you have maybe a paper build book that follows a unit down the line today, we can actually plug into your ERP systems, pull in your routings, your operation steps, your SOPs. We can link to drawings and basically have all that information in a tablet for your operator to make sure they're assembling things correctly and you're tracking what you produce and how long it takes to produce that. And then any information we're either collecting from a system, from a sensor, or from an operator input, we can create Power BI dashboards that visualize that data and allow you to interact with it. Commonly, we're doing that around the OEE dashboard on the shop floor today. Next, and one of the most popular modules, if I might say, is quality inspections. That's another heavy hitter that we have at Nexus Connected Worker. So if you're doing inspections on paper today, we can actually create digital versions of that where you can perform an inspection, pass items. Say you find something that's non-conforming. You can actually fail that, categorize the defects through drop-down menus, and take photos. All that information is automatically generated on a rework punch list, where a rework technician or operator can go look at the problem, look at the photo, fix the component, take a photo again, and that gets saved onto your inspection records permanently. So obviously helping you track your quality, track your defects, track your rework all the way through to completion. And all that information is automatically getting populated into your Paretos. So we can provide whatever sorts of reporting you might want to see. Commonly, what we've seen, our customers have come back and they said, can I see my top 5 defects or defects per unit or defects per cell? But again, anything you're collecting, we can report out on, and we can allow you to drill down and see the details if you want to see that as well. Next, we've got maintenance. So we do maintenance both in plant and then field services, essentially allowing you to get a view of all your open work orders is what we do. Technicians can log into a work order, this will start their time, see what they need to fix. We can plug into, what we can also do is we can plug into where your parts inventory is. So you can see, do I have the spare parts on hand? If not, we can also tie into inventory areas at sister plants and allow you to request that part and have it expedited to you. Tracking equipment utilization, preventive maintenance, predictive maintenance, all the way through. Again, tracking your inventory, but also tracking your tools, whatever that might look like for you. And then finally, I'll briefly touch upon audits as well. So audits can be a lot of different things. You can think of, let's say, the 5S audits or job safety audits. We do something really cool, something we call line walks, where we can actually take PDFs of your line and then overlay functionality where you can drill into a specific area, perform an inspection. Again, say you find something non-conforming or out of tolerance. You can create a work order directly from that workflow. So then your maintenance team gets alerted. They need to come work on a machine or something like that. So a lot of different ways we can do it and visualize it. But essentially so the goal is trying to get you out of paper and increase your visibility on all your different processes that you have on the shop floor today. So that was a brief introduction about Nexus Connected Worker, the 4 heavy hitters that we have, the pillars of Nexus Connected Worker. What we want to do now is we want to move on into real world problems that we're facing right now. So we've taken out 4 or 5 problems that you're facing right now, all customers are, and we're going to show you how at Nexus we resolve those issues for you. So that being said, the first one, I'll hand it over to Mike. Mike, if you want to talk about the first problem.
Right. So yeah, one of the big problems that we have with a paper-based process is accuracy, or the lack thereof accuracy, right? So you've got an inspector who's going out and using a paper process to write down a product number or a VIN number or a serial number of some sort. And what ends up happening is that that particular individual has miswritten that information down, and now they become a messenger, right? They have to go back out and rewrite that down. It's very ineffective, and it costs a lot of duplicate work. To give you like a real live example of that, one of our customers that we built a solution for, they had a manufacturing operation that ran 3 shifts a day, 25 people per shift, and they would take their product and move it out to an outside lot. And then during each of those shifts, an inspector would walk out, write down the product number, and then write down the defect, and then bring that back into the facility, where they would then enter it into a spreadsheet to send off to another department to document that information and make the appropriate adjustments. Well, what's the problem with that? Well, you've got lost time. The time it takes if that information has been written down wrong. Now, again, like I said earlier, that particular resource has become a messenger. They've got to go back out and get that. Secondly, it's duplicate work. They're writing it down, and then they're going back in and typing it in. And then thirdly, you have no real-time data, right? That information is only accurate while it resides on that paper. That second that you walk away from that, that data is no longer accurate. And these are some very simple workflows that we have partnered with customers to solve that solution. And what I'm going to do here is throw this over to Tim, for Tim to share with you a simple demonstration on how this might, how we might address accuracy in a manufacturing environment. With that, Tim, I'm going to let you take over.
Yeah, very good. Thanks, Mike. So you're seeing a picture of what our users experience on a mobile device. Here's an iPad with access to many different applications. But I pulled one example from our suite of our collection, and really just trying to illuminate what solving the accuracy problem looks like. So I'm going to put my camera on hold, and let's just walk through an example here of, on the next slide, we'll take a look at one application getting going. And so really the first step of this application, and we go ahead and click play here, and we'll going to go look at basically a maintenance example where a maintenance technician walks up to a machine. The machine has a barcode or an RFID on it. And I apologize for the bumpiness here, but really the accuracy is coming from the fact that I don't type in a long number. That's the key, right? So the asset is tagged with a barcode. I just put a little block there on my Word document, and as soon as I move that out of the way, the camera on my iPad becomes a barcode scanner and immediately opens up the application with that data present. So here we are looking at an asset with access to all kinds of related information: the service manual, parts drawings. Here's the ability to log a non-conformance issue against the machine. Sometimes that's against a part. Here it's against a machine. But we can also further go off, and again, these are all numbers. Maybe it's manuals or identifiers, product info, part drawing numbers. If I'm not entering those, I increase the likelihood of success and accuracy at every step of that data journey. So just really what we're illuminating, starting with that very first number, the asset ID, and take off the table the idea that you could fat finger or omit or get it wrong and begin a journey that you really don't want to go down. So just introducing accuracy through our applications and the device capabilities.
Syed, I think that's back to you, Mel.
Yep, thank you. Next slide. I am going to talk about the other problem which we have, and that's a huge problem. It's visibility. Why paper-based processes limit operational insight and speed. So we've got 4 problems that come out of visibility, as you can see, a byproduct of visibility. 1, limited access, 1 person at a time. So information on paper is only visible to that 1 person who's holding it, making collaboration and oversight nearly impossible in real time. So think of it, if I have a paper, I'm the one who's the only one who's looking at it, and it's up to my discretion on where I pass that paper on. So that's one issue. Second, even if I do decide, right, here's the piece of paper that needs to go to Mike, and it's slow distribution, it's hard to share and update. The next one is manual retrieval as well, wasted time in motion. So operators must physically locate the documents to retrieve the info, leading to real time and inefficiency across the shift, lost time and inefficiency across the shift. So imagine this, I've got this one paper, which I've actually gone ahead, put it, let's say, in a shelf, in a cupboard, wherever, and now it needs to go to Mike. Either I need to hand deliver it to Mike, or I need to tell Mike that, Mike, this is where all the papers are, but you need to go and retrieve. And this is not just one paper, it's going to be one paper in a bunch of papers that's sitting in there. So that all that is time lost just for manual retrieval. What happens if that same document needs to be accessed, say 6 months down the line or a year down the line? That becomes even more cumbersome. And then finally, that what we have is process waste, unnecessary movement and delays, the manual effort to manage and access proper to access paper creates motion and transportation waste. So these are the four main issues that that basically come out of paper-based processes when it comes to visibility. And to address that, we have Tim, who's going to show us something again.
Yeah, very good. Let's take a look at another an application out of our portfolio, and we'll go ahead and launch into it. And again, the topic is visibility, and just being able to enter data at the point of the event, which takes away writing it down. But then the downstream visibility of that data is really what's key. So we're going to use the example of, let's see, this is the last example. Maggie, we want to advance to, I think, a couple slides out. Here we go. Yeah, and so this is out of our quality suite. We talked about a quality inspection application. So we'll go ahead and run this. And in this example, it's a digital checklist inspecting the production of a capital good, typically a complex, in this case, a vehicle. You'll notice on the bottom are the blue headers reflect many different inspection plans. So in this case, we've divided up the inspection of the vehicle into multiple plans that can be simultaneously worked by different people, different teams, and allow multiple users to record. Here we're looking down now into one of those plans that has actual inspection items where we record results that the item either passed or failed, and if it failed, we'll capture more info. But really just reflecting, there's some visibility to, in this case, what are all the different plans that should be worked and inspected in order to call this vehicle fully inspected. As we swipe, we can look at, on the top, I found that the braking system plan has already been fully inspected and complete. On the bottom, I'm seeing 2 open failures that need to be resolved before I can ship this vehicle. Just again, visibility to everything going on through the course of the quality inspection of this product we're trying to ship. On top, we are able to capture serial numbers for bill of material components at various levels throughout the assembly process. And the dirge of assembly is missing parts, and operators are able to record them and workflow them through to the appropriate teams. Maybe supply chain has to order new ones, inventory has to go find them on a different shelf, culminating in what you see is the green. Once it's installed, we're good to go. But we can tell immediately what parts are missing and where they're at in the process, who owns it, and when we expect to have closure on this. Just visibility of the whole process as we're going through it. So just traversing back, so just a picture of kind of getting up on a ladder and looking out over, in this case, the entire inspection process from one app on one mobile device right where I am. And I don't have to go find anything. The information comes to me. So a quick look at visibility through one of our apps. I think we're back to Mike on this one.
Yep, that's over to you, Mike.
So with the paper-based process, how is that information becoming obsolete? Well, one of the best examples I can give you is, let's do something as simple as tracking product in from another vendor. So that once that product comes in off the truck, you have a person with paper jotting down that it's arrived. and then it's moved into another section of the warehouse or another place in the plant. Well, the moment that that information is put on the paper, it's already fading and becoming inaccurate. Maybe we had a forklift driver pick up that particular product and move it to an area we're unaware of. So that information becomes obsolete, and now we have to send valuable resources to go, where did we place that, where was it at? And we don't have access into real-time data. We can't see that that product has arrived until we take that checklist or that list and have it inputted into the system. Again, creating duplicate work, creating a time lag, as well as inefficiencies. Tim, what would be some examples of ways we would use a digital workflow to help fight the battle of obsolete information?
Yeah, that's an excellent point. And so we're going to advance to our application. And we're going to take a look at a fairly unique app and very simple in concept. We call this the leader standard work list. It's really just a checklist. You might also use Outlook tasks. But I'll point out where we've infused some very, very useful real-time info to combat that very thing Mike was talking about, the obsolescence of data on paper. So we'll go ahead and launch this, and we're just seeing again a digital checklist. Go ahead and let that launch. There we go. So I may have things as a leader that I need to do every single day. Certain checks I perform. Maybe there's certain weekly audits and checks I perform, and even out to monthly. I can categorize the cadence upon which each of these things are done. So they, either they fall off the list when they're complete, or they recur every week. Every Monday I'm going to see the same list, which is great. And I can either mark things as complete, or if I can't do it or it needs to be done by someone else, I can escalate it with an action right here, that digital handoff. And I'm going to go back. There's in particular, this might be a systemic way of doing things. Very common recurring examples. But what I want to point out is this isn't just the need to go do something or telling me as a task to go do it. If I click one of these where it says that I should go take a look at a safety audit, I can actually call up the audit that I'm supposed to look at and review the results. And maybe some of those audit items failed, and I can go take further action. Or I can, if it says review the quality non-conformance report each week, there it is, and it opens it up. So it's an intelligent access to the underlying reports that this thing says I need to look at. So really the combined effect, not just go do it, but here's the access to go do it, and here's an overtime report. So I can see all the employees who have booked overtime this week, and I want to stay out in front of that. I want to also point out there's an item on here that just tells me that a forging has arrived. Think of how valuable it was, the example Mike gave, where as the welder in the cell, I don't know that the forging is here unless, in this case, I got a notification, and now it's journaled on my task list so that I can actually go do whatever I need to around that. Maybe I need to report serial numbers. I need to shuffle work on my machine so that that forging can get over here because it's urgent. So just improving the communication, and really that's that obsolescence. It is up to the minute data every time and refreshes as I go about my work. So just this digital way of working really eliminates that opportunity for things to grow stale.
Great, thanks, Tim. And final point we want to make on this is the true cost of paper. So manual processes impact more than just time. It affects the bottom line as well. This is something that we've received some tremendous feedback from our customers who've actually deployed Nexus, where one, there's no duplication of effort. So once you're putting it directly into a system through a tablet, there's no going back to a machine so that you need to enter data. That doesn't happen. And as I said, sometimes you've got a few customers who had duplication of effort where they would actually fill information out on a piece of paper, and then they actually had to go back and put that same information into a system. In this case, you're not duplicating that effort, you're just doing it that one time. So that second is paper-related spending. There is thousands and thousands of dollars spent, one, not just on paper. I mean, when we talk about paper, it's not just paper, it's paper, printers, cartridges, right? storage, all that paper that's being stacked up over a period of 6 months, year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, all that information needs to be saved. You can't just get rid of it. And now you've got storage problems where you're just stacking up shelves, you're finding areas, places where you can put all that paper. And then of course, accessing it becomes another nightmare that we can go on and on about. Lost time daily. Imagine how difficult it is as compared putting it out on a paper where you're going through a checklist, let's say, for instance, as opposed to just clicking it on the tab and that information is getting saved. Now, another thing is when you've got handheld scanners. So if you're writing it down on a paper, you're putting down pretty much everything. Whereas if you have a handheld scanner, we've done a case study with a customer who said a 7-hour job now takes 30 minutes to do. That's time saved because they're out of paper-based processes, because now what they have is they've got handheld scanners. Everything's done with just a single scan. All that information is getting saved. Again, that information is easy to transfer as well, easy to share too. Finally, and most importantly, is manual reporting. So we've had customers who had a horrible time if they were just told, I need to see a report that is up to date as of now. It was impossible to get that done, because what happens is now you're collecting papers from 10 different places. You're trying to collate all that information into one place, put everything down on an Excel just to get that one report. It could be, as I said, it could be, say, a top 5 defects report, right? Now imagine the work you have to go through, because you're going through all that paper just to get your top 5 defects. And even then, you're not guaranteed that this is up-to-date information, because all the work that's happened, let's say this very same day, those papers haven't come to you yet. So these are just some typical examples that we put in, which actually shows the true cost of paper processes. And if I may, Tim's going to show us a little bit here as well, and we're going to see a little more details on it. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks, Ed. So we're going to go back to our the example of our quality inspection app, and go ahead and run this. And and we're prompted first for the serial number of the vehicle we're inspecting. That, in this case, we're typing. It could be scanned on a barcode as well. And this gets us to the inspection platform for this vehicle. And what I'm going to walk through here is entering some real-time measurements. So some things are binary pass-fail. In other cases, we need to collect a measurement, compare it against upper and lower control limits to determine whether or not that item is good or bad. So down on the bottom, there's a thermal sensor, and I'm prompted here to enter a reading, maybe off of a gauge, and it shows me that the lower limit is 88 in degrees Fahrenheit, 88 to 117, and either we can enter the result directly here, or if I have instrumented digital instruments, I can feed the value in, so that here the value I've entered is above the upper limit. That's a failing result. So notice now when I go back to the open items list, that thermal sensor has dropped off the list. I've reported a value, and it's moved over here to the defect list. Notified the team responsible, marked it as a failure. I can't ship this product with it, but now I've either got to replace or repair that sensor and test it again, and then move this thing onto an accepted state. We'll keep track of the fact that it failed once and then was repaired. Some audits require identification of non-first pass yield items. So capturing it digitally, how do you, if I were to do this on paper, how would I compare, other than looking at a reference book for upper and lower limits, for example? Here, those limits are part of the database, part of the app, and as soon as I enter it, it recognizes pass or fail and moves that thing along through the entire defect process. So just another benefit, I typically refer to this as the iceberg under the water. Recording things on paper is great if that's all I ever had to do. The problem is all the downstream flow from that recording and interpretation and re-entry. That's where the pain comes in. And again, digitally, it's no problem to pass that data along.
Great. Thanks so much, Tim. Thanks so much for that. That basically ends the round of the 4 big problem statements that we had. Something that we quickly wanted to show you on how Nexus Connected Worker resolves these issues, addresses these issues. With that being said, we want to move on. We wanted to keep a little bit of time on this webinar for some questions as well. If there are any questions that are headed our way, we'd like to address those. So Maggie, I believe you have the questions. Have you had any questions so far?
Yep, we got some questions. All right.
Great.
Here we go. So we've got one in the chat. I'm looking to mark my stainless steel parts. I've used Hexagon Radan to mark them before cutting, but the reflection is too harsh to read them consistently. What alternatives do you recommend?
And I don't, nothing, I'm just trying to think of what comes to mind at first. And I guess it might need a little elaboration on the question about the marking on the part, assuming it's a sheet, cutting sheets and identifying sheet stock with part numbers or serial numbers, that kind of thing. And I'm not sure what technology is being used to etch or mark those parts. But there certainly are a number of solutions available, and we do work with the Radan group. It's not our first product, but we do know the folks over there and work with them on some joint efforts. So we can probably take that question and maybe get an answer back to you.
Yeah, just to elaborate on that, we do integrate with Radan and third-party systems. So depending on if they're using like a Mazak laser or depending on what type of machine they're using, we can integrate with the machine to tie that data all together. What we'll do is we'll take a look at that question and answer it offline. Well,
All right, thank you. Then do you have any out-of-the-box solutions, or is it all custom programming?
I'll take that one. So yeah, great question, because what we've basically talked about throughout this webinar is that we come in, we digitalize processes for you. We take your process and we digitalize that, right? So that would mean that a lot of the work is configured. I like to stay clear of the word customize. Customize would mean that we are developing the solution. I like to use the word configure, because that means we're just configuring the system for you. That being said, we definitely have an out-of-the-box product, an offering that we offer to our customers where you've got your basic processes built in. It's a very quick, clean implementation. And the best part about that is that we've had cases where we've actually gone in and implemented the solution in 2 weeks. That's it. It's very cost friendly because you're not spending a lot of money on services. The out-of-the-box product that we've seen is mostly taken by small customers who have a requirement of maybe say 5 users, 10 users, 15, 20 max, where they come in, they say, I might have 5 quality inspectors, I need 4 for operators, I need 2 for maintenance, and yeah, and maybe a couple from my management to see the reports and dashboards. So in that case, we definitely suggest the out-of-the-box offering. We can demo that to the customer as well. We give out 30-day trial licenses too. So if, let's say, for instance, someone wants to play with the solution, kind of get a look and feel of it, absolutely, we can help you with that. We can provide a 30-day trial license, and you can see how the solution works. That do keep in mind that even with the out-of-the-box solution, you have the option of configuring it a little bit. So let's say, for instance, you say, I love the out-of-the-box solution, works for me, but it only works 80% for 80% of my processes. What do I do about the other 20%? That's when the superstars that we have, like the Tims and the Bets and our team, who come in, understand your process, and then we build that additional 20% for you to make sure that it's a complete fit. Right?
and just to piggyback off of that, related to the custom solutions, what's great about the connected worker solution is many of these MESs and CMMs, you're buying a set product. Well, you may already have that product, but you have a small gap that you're trying to fill. What I love about the product is we can fill that one little niche, and you're not paying for an entire platform. You're just paying for what you need. To Syed's point, it might be a specific need for 3 users, and we can digitize that process at a very low cost and get you that additional ROI through the existing systems by tying them together with integration.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for bringing that up. I forgot to mention, that's a great point. So, and to give you an example on that, let's say, for instance, someone says, hey, I've got something for operations, maintenance, we've got something, I'm just looking for quality inspections. So the beauty about Nexus is you don't have to buy the whole solution. So you just go with quality, you just get those 4 workflows that you want, and that kind of fits in perfectly, where this is my requirement. I don't need to invest in the entire suite. I just need to get that one particular process which I'm currently missing. And the licenses and the services is basically priced according to that, according to your usage. So we make sure that, right, if let's say, for instance, as Mike said, you just have 5 licenses, it's just going to be 5 licenses for that particular module and just those workflows. So you're paying a very minimal fee just to basically fulfill that one requirement that you're missing currently. Thanks, Mike.
All right, another one. What does the adoption of mobile technology look like on the shop floor? And do the workers easily pivot from paper to iPad?
Yeah, I can jump in on that one. And actually from some hands-on experience that I've had, not only developing these apps, but deployment out in the shop. And that's always something to consider and pay attention to, is how well will the workers out on the floor be able to use this new technology, embrace it, take advantage of it. And I can just remember one example in particular. There was a very vocal opponent, kind of a senior seasoned worker who was not at all interested in redoing how he's always worked. And he was actually chosen as the first adopter, the first follower, if you will. And we asked him to go through and perform an inspection on the iPad. And suddenly, the bravado in him backed down a bit. He followed along. He was able to do an inspection, and it was built very intuitively. Very easy to use, big buttons and guided work. And he did the first one with a little bit of coaching. Not many minutes later, he did the second inspection on his own with close air support, if you will. And I think by the time he did a third inspection within a half hour, he kind of waved everyone off and said, I got this, I'm good. And no one in the factory or in leadership thought that this individual would take to the digital footprint. And in fact, he did famously, which really caught the attention of everyone huddled around watching. And basically the sentiment was, well, if he could do it, and very quickly everyone else then had to step up to the plate and follow suit, and it really was quite easy. So certainly, if it's how you position it, how you communicate it, and how you deal with the naysayers, and rather than leaving them behind and trying to catch them up at the end, there is a strategy to put them front and center and help them, encourage them, show them it'll work, and from there they set a great example for everyone else. So we've had some great results moving from paper to digital.
Awesome, thank you. One last one. How does integration work with Nexus Connected Worker? We have several systems like an MES, CMM, QMS, ERP. How would this work together?
Yeah, I'll take that. Kind of alluded to it earlier. Not only do we do tailored workflows and off-the-shelf workflows, we also have an integration engine. It kind of resides in the background. It can be something as simple as, I need this software to communicate with this software, and we can do that in the background through business rules, through triggers, and that's what we call Nexus Connected Worker integration. It could be something as simple as monitoring an email for sales orders that come in. When the sales order comes in, we ingest that email and then implement it into an ERP system. Or it could be something really robust where, like Syed had spoken earlier, where we have older lines that have need for sensors on them. We can tie into those sensors as well as into the PLCs, into the newer machines, and then give you, or you have a hybrid facility, we can give you actual real-time data in a usable format and take that information through our integration engine and chart that out on reports, put that up on digital displays. But one of our biggest opportunities is the area to tie in all these disparate systems. We run into a lot of manufacturers that have bought other facilities and have these disparate systems, but they want a single pane of glass, whether it's our mobility application, which we've talked about here, which is the custom workflows or the out-of-the-box workflows. We can also tie those into those other systems so you get real usage and value out of that information. If there's no other questions, I think, Syed, do you want to walk everybody through the
Yep.
process of the
Yep.
$5,000 and how that all works?
Absolutely. I was just going to say, I was just waiting to see if Meg has any more questions for us. Meg, are we good?
Yep, we're good. No more questions.
Excellent. So fantastic news, guys. This is one of the offerings that we have right now. So typically, one of the implementation methodologies that we have is, once a customer is interested, we go in. The first step is we provide a demo of the solution just so that we can ask you a little more intelligent questions where you can see what the solution is. You'll see how it functions and ask any capability questions that you have. Sorry. The next step is what we call a discovery session, where we understand the current state map that the current state that you currently have, and then kind of do a future state mapping on what the future state is going to look like. That is usually covered in the discovery sessions that we have. Typically, they last about 2 days, and a lot of back and forth questions. How do you do this? Where we ask you a lot, we kind of get a lot of intel from you on how you currently do your processes, and then you provide us feedback on what you want to do, how you want to do it, and in return we come back and tell you this is how the system does it. Does this align with your requirements, or do you want us to tweak that? That exercise is typically a $5,000 discovery workshop that we conduct. And for the attendees of this particular webinar, you're providing that workshop for free. So let's say, for instance, you're interested, you say, hey, you know what, I'd like to explore a little more of this, where, you know what, I want to see a demo of the product. I want to see how you guys do it. I'm going to explain my current processes, and you then come back to me and tell me how you're going to do it in the system. How does that translate into Nexus Connected Worker? So that exercise is completely free right now. You can reach out to us. You can see our email addresses below. Either one of us is fine, and refer to the webinar. So we've got a list of all the attendees that have attended this webinar. You can just refer to this, and we'll be more than happy to take this conversation forward and make sure that we do provide you that free discovery that we promised.
And just to add to that, the discovery, it also is represented in a visual format that allows you that roadmap. So it's not only sitting down with us, but when you're completed with that, you will have like a Visio of the actual process and what that looks like. So you'll have something tangible that you can use in the future if it's something you don't move forward with now, or if you go to another avenue, you'll have that already mapped out for you.
Think of it this way, right? You've just basically documented your entire processes. So that helps you in the future as well, as Mike mentioned.
Yep.
Yep. So that being said, I think we're done, right?
It was a pleasure. Thanks everybody for joining.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thanks.